I just start out by saying I thought Liberty was way more physical, way more connected, and just thoroughly outplayed us. Even in the first half, I felt like, um, despite the score, I felt like their physicality was bothering our team in many ways, both when they were on the defensive end, uh, being way more physical around the paint. I think some of our shots were short. Their ability to stay in the play without having to rely on a ton of help from the weak side or from other secondary defenders was elite. And us not so much. So got a long way to go. I think I said this in the radio on the radio that this is the first team that we've played that has been together for quite a while as a coach and a coaching staff that know what they're about. Our first 3 games, Southern Illinois, new coach, 9 new players. South Florida, a great program, lost their coach, sadly, a few weeks ago. And then you look at Florida Atlantic, although they're really talented, it's a brand new team, brand new coach. Liberty knows what they're about. They know what they're about. They don't try to fool you. They put 5 guys on the floor that are going to fight for every inch. They're going to play man-to-man. They're not going to switch. And they're going to be really physical. And that bothered us. And in the second half, I thought we gave in. And so we've got a lot of growth that we need to make if we want to compete against teams like a Liberty.
What did they do to Ante? Was it just, did he just not have the legs after Friday night, or were they doing something that just physicality? Was that it? Or?
Well, I think a couple things. Number one, I think Ante settled for post position. There are certain sets where we want him on the block, not posting at 15 to 17 feet, right? And I think they're taught very well and coached very well, and they've got tough kids that his back down dribbles, he wasn't getting as close to the basket as maybe he's been in the first 3 games. I think Ante was also off a little bit. It just sort of happens. We've got to be able to rely on other guys as well when he has a poor shooting night. But Liberty's a really good defensive team. They take a lot of pride, and they gave him a hard way to go, but he wasn't the only guy that had a hard way to go tonight.
Do you feel like y'all were gassed after Friday? I know you're not one to make an excuse, but were they?
I'm sure it's fatigue for both teams, though. They played last night. We at least got 24 hours of rest. We were off our feet, so we knew what the expectations were, and we knew that we were going to play 2 games in 3 days, and we're going to do it in Hawaii, and then we're going to do it in the conference tournament if we want to go places. So, it might have been a factor, but it really doesn't matter. It's always going to be a factor.
This is shown to be a really resilient group all year, Coach.
I don't know about that.
Not
We haven't
yet.
faced a whole lot of adversity, but I appreciate your.
Yeah. So what's the response you look for this week in practice then?
Well, it's a short turnaround because we play Citadel on Wednesday, and so a large focus is obviously going to be preparing for them. But, some of the things that we have to fix are internal. And I think anytime you play a team and you get handed to you, like we did tonight, it exposes some things. I thought our inability to handle physicality, the first 6-8 minutes out of the half, missing 3 and 4 foot shots. You're going to have nights where your offense doesn't click. Tonight was one of those nights. So you got to make it up on the defensive end. I do know that had the tables been reversed and Liberty maybe couldn't score in the first 4 or 5 minutes, they would not have played the way we did down the stretch. They have a toughness to them that we need to figure out how to develop and develop quickly if we want to beat really competitive, good teams.
I know we're only 4 games into it. Defensively, it seemed like you guys were a little disconnected out there. Was that just me, or did you see the same thing? Or?
No, there's a lot that Liberty presents in terms of schemes that's tough. You really have to rely on communication. You have to have an ability, any defense that you play, to keep the ball in front of you. We didn't do either well enough. We didn't communicate well enough. We did not move our feet well enough to keep the ball in front. And that just leads to, so many bad things. It leads to drive, kick, wide open threes. And so, you give them credit. Cleveland is a very, very tough matchup. He plays for his teammates. He doesn't play to score. And, even though he got close to 20 points, he doesn't look for his shot. He looks for his teammates first. And they all do. They're a very, very well coached, hard to defend group.
CJ, obviously he wasn't a full speed tonight. Zero, whose name I never remember.
Jackson.
Yeah, it hurt. Obviously, those guys have not had.
Well, Jackson's obviously been an integral part of our team. He's provided some great moments. I never got the sense that if Jackson were out there and CJ were at full strength, that our team had what it needed tonight to defeat Liberty. I just give them a lot of credit. I didn't necessarily really want CJ to necessarily play. I mean, I'd love for him to, but I don't want it to linger. And true competitor that he is. He played on a turf toe injury all second half of the season last year, twisted his ankle in the FAU game the other night and still wanted to play. And so he's a tough kid, and he did what he could for us tonight. Did a good job.
Just looking at the Citadel Wednesday, your first game in this rivalry, just what are you expecting from them from that matchup?
Very well coached team. Ed's teams are going to run 1,000 set plays. They're going to play Princeton. They're going to play dribble drive. They're going to try to expose certain matchups. Other than that, rivalry games are that because of the the proximity, the history, and our guys got to quickly understand what we're up against, and we're obviously not playing in our gym, so being ready to go come Wednesday night is going to be a must.
How do you talk to AJ going back and playing against? I mean, it's the portal, so everybody kind of changes teams, but going from one year to the next and going back.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be a little awkward. I did the same thing in college. But again, he gave 2 really good years to the program. A lot of the guys that he played with are no longer there. Certainly the coaching staff and a few of his teammates are. But I'm sure he'll be, excited to play that one. But he has nothing but great things to say about Citadel and Coach Conroy, and as do I. So it'll be a rivalry game, just like it always has been, always will be. Thanks, guys.
Sweet. Thank you.
Chris.